there has been a murder. Okay, there's been a murder. Colonel Prothero has been found dead. I'm going to use these vlogs and we are going to try and solve this mystery together. Hello everybody, I am in my living room. I have been reading my Agatha Christie book and I just wanted to give you a quick update. There's been a murder and now we are having to figure out who it is. We are introduced at the beginning of the book to the vicar and his wife Griselda and his nephew Dennis, and then we meet several other characters along the way, including Miss Marple, who, of course, if you know, is the person that goes along and typically tries to solve the issues or solve the murder, the mystery. Like I said, we just found Colonel Prothero dead. He was shot in the head. So I wanted to give little updates and just a few thoughts, just so I can see, and you can see the way my mind works and how I try to solve these different murders in these books. But like I said, Colonel Prothero has just died, and we're going to start stacking up the clues. Okay, so this is what is going on. Colonel Prothero showed up at the vicar's house, and the vicar wasn't there. He had gone away to be with someone who was on their deathbed. So he had gone to get their last wishes and pray with them and be with them in their last moments. And so Colonel Prothero was waiting in his study for him. When the vicar returned, he found Colonel Prothero dead on the table, and he immediately decided to call the physician and get the physician to come and take note of everything. And he did determine that he was dead and he was shot in the head. And so they immediately call the authorities, and the authorities come, and that's where they start the investigation. Here I'm going to show you the book actually has a little picture of the office. So here's the office. So Colonel Prothero was here on the table and he was shot in the back of the head. He was leaning on the table and he had a note that said that he couldn't wait any longer, and it was dated, it had the time written on the top that said 6:20, I believe. So 6:20. Yes. So there was that. And then on the table, there was also an overturned clock, and it was, the time on it said 6:22. All of that, sorry, I'm watching my kids outside, so while I'm doing this. So the time said 6:22 on the clock. On the note, it said 6:20. And so they believe that it's quite possible that he was shot at 6:20 that evening. So those are some of the things that are going on. You have, when the vicar arrived back at his house, he ran into a young man named Lawrence, who is having an affair with Colonel Prothero's wife. Yeah, I already told you, I don't really care for any kind of adultery or cheating, anything like that. So, but this is where we are. The vicar ran into the young man named Lawrence, who's having an affair with Mrs. Prothero, and he was caught by the vicar, and he was coming to tell the vicar that he was leaving. Or, well, he had already told the vicar previously that because they were caught, he decided to leave town. So there was that. And he had returned to talk to the vicar again, and Colonel Prothero was there, and yeah, all of this stuff happened. So the vicar ran into Lawrence leaving, and Lawrence was acting kind of strange. So he goes in and he finds Colonel Prothero dead. So we have that, and after the authorities get everything situated, that evening, Lawrence actually turns himself in, saying that he did kill Colonel Prothero. So because Lawrence turned himself in, Mrs. Prothero turned herself in, saying that she was really the killer, and she wasn't. Neither was Lawrence. And so now we have to figure out who the actual killer is. There are other different things going on in this, and I may have to just list them all out and then come back on here and try and sort out my thoughts, because there's just a lot of little small pieces here and there. You have Griselda acting funny, which is the vicar's wife, and then you also have Dennis, who's running around trying to be detective. You have this lady, I can't remember her name. I don't know. I can't remember her name. This one lady who gets a menacing phone call, and then you have another lady who the vicar met after church service and basically dropped her off at her house on the way to the vicarage, because it was on the way there. So they walked together, and she invited him in, and they had a little chat, and then he went home. And he said that it looked like she wanted to say something, but she wasn't going to say anything. I don't know. There's just a lot of little small pieces that aren't connecting the dots right now. And maybe I just haven't read far enough. I really think that someone killed Colonel Prothero. This is what my theory is right now, based on all the things that have been said and all of the clues that have been found. I really think Mrs. Prothero was framed for the murder of Colonel Prothero by Lettuce, but I don't think Lettuce is the one that killed him. I think she saw him and then turned the time back and staged the scene to make it look like that it was Mrs. Prothero, because she doesn't like him, because she likes Lawrence, and they know that, or she knows that Lawrence and Mrs. Prothero have a thing together, so she's jealous of Mrs. Prothero. And so that is my current theory. I don't know yet who I think actually killed him, so we'll see. I'm gonna keep reading. I'm gonna listen to while I go for a quick walk. So it's maybe gonna be, I don't know, 30 minutes of listening, maybe. It's a beautiful day out and I need some sunshine, so audiobook for the win. I'll see you guys later. Hello everybody, I'm back. So this is where I am so far. But last time we talked about how there has been a murder, and we have Colonel Prothero who has been found, and now we are at the finding of all of the things. We have so many side characters in here that it is a little ridiculous to keep up with names. Like, I don't remember all the names, and I'm sorry. There's like a bunch of old ladies in here that constantly call on the vicar to come visit him, and I don't remember all of their names. I just don't. So we have Mrs. Prothero and Lawrence Redding, who have had an affair. Both of them have been cleared as of now. Because of certain circumstances, they were not actually in the area when the actual murder occurred. So there's that. Those two have actually been cleared. Everybody else has not, other than the vicar. So the detective, who is a kind of a jerk, he is going around and finding everybody's alibi for the time that is set for the murder and trying to find clues and stuff. And the vicar himself is going around visiting people because they ask for him to call on him, and he goes and actually ends up finding quite a bit of information actually about stuff that's going on. So with all of the clues that I have in my head, there's so much information, I don't even know. You would just have to go read the book and get all of the information. But so far, right now, what I am feeling, like my gut instinct wants to say that the murderer was Dennis, and Lettuce was just trying to cover it up. And I say that because one of the old ladies that called the vicar said that she had some information. The information was just, it was so funny. She's like, my maid heard a cough. Okay, that was her. That was her clue. And then she proceeded to say that the cough was coming from the direction of your bushes, and it was a male cough, and it was around the time of the murder, and there was a tennis racket on the ground. And I may have not said it, but Dennis was off playing tennis with Lettuce. So that's a mouthful right there. So we have those three that are supposed to be, or those two that's supposed to be playing tennis with another group of friends, I guess. After all of that, we have another lady that said that she saw someone that begins with the letter L walking up to the vicarage. And of course, you think that it's actually supposed to be pointing to another lady, but I think it was actually pointing to Lettuce and not the other lady. The detective really has it out for this one lady. Her name is Lestrange, Miss Lestrange, and he believes that she is the murderer. And then you actually find out that she actually wasn't home at that time. So there's so many people and so many things that are going on, and you don't actually know which one it is. So it could be Miss Lestrange. It could be, because she actually doesn't have an alibi and you don't know where she is. It could be Lettuce, and it could be Dennis, but we don't know yet. There hasn't been anything. The only one thing, the couple things that have led me to believe that it was possibly Dennis is the maid seeing tennis racket on the ground and hearing a male coughing. And another one was when the vicar confronted Lettuce about planting a certain object in his study to try and frame Mrs. Prothero, that she told him that he needs to get Dennis out of town quickly. And he's confused as to why, and just goes on. And so those two things are really what makes me believe that it's Dennis. But I feel like that for Agatha Christie, that's too obvious. And that it could be Mrs. Lestrange, but also it could also be Griselda. I don't know. I don't even know where that one would come from, but I feel like it could be. I'm not sure. There's so many things going on, but then again, it could also still be Mrs. Prothero, and she just changed the time forward instead of backward to make it look like. Look, there's so many things going on right now. I don't even know. I feel like she threw all this stuff in here to get you off of the correct path and the correct trail. But I'm going to go finish reading and hopefully get this up tomorrow. So it's gonna be interesting to see what goes on. So I'll be back. So I was right, kind of. Lettuce did try to frame Miss Prothero because Miss Prothero was the murderer, and so was Lawrence Redding. They concocted a whole thing to do it, and yeah, I kind of was wondering if it was them anyway. I think I said it in the previous part that I filmed that it could still be them because Agatha Christie likes to throw in random plot twists like that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was very fun. There were so many characters in it that it was hard to keep up with, and all the information thrown in, and then there were a lot of red herrings, and it was very interesting to see how this little town turned out to have all of the stuff going on in it. So that is what I have for now, and I may give a more in-depth review after this. I'm not really sure with me doing the vlog this way. If you like the vlogs like this, let me know and I will post more of them, and I will see you all next time. Bye.